Okay, so we're going to, the first part of this program will be the orientation, and Sat Shree will come in. Oh, that's right, Brahmananda. When I'm just about ready to wrap it up, you're supposed to call Sat Shree, so he knows to come. Do you have your phone? Oh, good. You try both. I never know which phone he has on, so we haven't really gotten that one down straight. So what happens is Ava is going to do announcements, and I think usually before the program starts in the evenings, somebody's giving an announcement. It might be Ava, it might be Brahmananda, it could be Tom, or someone else. And then I will go over the schedule and the guidelines, and then Sat Shree comes into the room. Okay, and I think we're ready to go. So Ava.
Thank you, Satyamayi. And welcome everyone to Mundekulla and this beautiful weather that is welcoming us here. So first of all, I have a key that has been found. Is this a key that someone recognizes? No? It has a heart. On both, sorry. It has a heart.
Is this a room key?
It looks like a house key to a door or a room key here, yeah. Okay. Then I'll have it. If someone realizes that they miss it, it will be with me.
And where will you be?
Well, right now I'll be here. Probably see me jumping around.
She'll be with the key.
And the crutch.
The crutch.
Second thing, if you brought a cell phone, please turn it off. And the third thing is that we've brought waivers for you all from New Dharma. And we would like each and every one of you to sign one. So on the way out today, please pass the information table, bring a waiver, sign it, and bring it back tomorrow. Thank you very much. Waiver is, it's a document.
Okay, so because we're a U.S.-based nonprofit, we have a waiver that we are required to have everybody sign. If you come to the U.S. for programs, you've had to sign this. If you've been in a small group in the U.S., you've also signed this, even India, where you basically acknowledge that you're responsible for being here. You take responsibility for your process, for being here in the room with Sat Shree, and where any participation that you do. So it is a requirement. Our attorneys they draw these things up. So anyway, that's the best thing I can say. You just say that you really trust Sat Shree. You have faith that this is going to be an amazing process, and that's it. So, Thank you.
Great explanation.
It works.
One more last thing. We will in the future use that door only. So please come through that door and put your shoes on the shoe rack or on the mats that are for that reason. So that we have Sat Shree and Satyamayi up here and not a lot of shoes. Thank you. That was all for now.
Ava, thank you. and we're in orientation and setting the intent. So that is, if you're here, then you're in the right place. Okay, tomorrow morning, we start with meditation at 6 o'clock here in this room, correct? Yes. After this program is ended this evening, then, and Sat Shree and I have left the room, then there will be people that will instruct you on how to set up for the meditations for the next part of the program, which will be 3 meditations tomorrow. And then at the end of the third one, you get to set the room back up. So we get pretty good at this. But to let you know that for the meditation, you can be in a backpack. Many people brought their own chairs, pillows, whatever. There'll just be some instructions by the people in the room on just how that's going to happen. Okay, so 6 o'clock to 7:30 a.m. here. We ask that you arrive at least 10 minutes early. If by any chance you oversleep. Now, if you're in a room, if you are all in a dorm and you see somebody sleeping, wake them up, please. Nicely, gently. But try to assist them in getting here. But if it's not possible, then if you are more than 10 minutes late, do not come into the room. Stay in your room. Don't make a plan to do that. Sat Shree requires you to be here, but things happen. Okay? So there is some space. At 7:30, we have breakfast. From 7:30 to 11 a.m., you have personal time. That's whatever you want to do, but it is in silence. So you can stay in your room, you can go for walks. Some people will have small group meetings, which we'll talk about later. But that is your time to write in your journals, to read. It's your time to integrate what's happened for you in the meditations. At 12:30, so this is the first change on your paper, and this will be the same for the rest of the week. 12:30 to 2, is lunch. So that way people who are going to be doing the seva in the room have time to clean up. And am I saying this right? Thanks, Seva. Okay, then we start again. Then until 4 o'clock, you have personal time. So 12:30 to 4, your time. 4 to 5:30 is meditation again here. 6 to 7:30, dinner. And then we start again in here at 7:30. And this pretty much goes on every single day. Do I have all the times right, Ava? I know. Breakfast every day, 7:30. Lunch every day, 12:30. And dinner every day, 6 to 7:30. Every day. Oh, you're right. No. See, even I am confused. Yeah. Okay. Right after meditation, dinner. We'll figure it out, right? Just follow the crowd. Okay. So pretty much this is what is going to be happening all the way through next Wednesday. So Wednesday, the 17th, day 6 is our completion day. After breakfast is checkout. There will be some instruction on checkout, but that won't happen until the day before. And at 11 o'clock, we will do completion. It says 10, but Sat Shree is still in meditation at 10. So 11 to 1 will be completion. We will actually probably start completion on Tuesday to give you a chance to come forward and talk about what's happened for you in the 6th day. Okay. So, yes, Ava. We will make the changes on the schedule and put it on the board. So if you don't have a pen and can't write it up now, it will be there. Right. Otherwise, just follow the crowd. That's the easiest way. Okay. Any questions? Anyone? Okay. Even Ava and I aren't sure. Okay, so the next part are the guidelines. And Sat Shree uses the guidelines to set the structure, to set the container for all of you for this period of time. There's a lot of people to spend a lot of time together for 6 days. So the most important part is right now, as we begin to set the container in this room, and then when Sat Shree comes, then it will also further set. Guidelines. The following guidelines for the retreat are meant to assist you and your fellow participants in getting the most value possible out of this program. To ensure a serene and a harmonious environment, please observe the following guidelines. Remain silent at all times during the retreat, except at the work sessions. We also have, it's a qualified silence. So if there's an emergency and you need to talk to somebody in the kitchen or to Ava, please do so. But the rest of the time, we ask that you maintain silence. This is for your benefit. All communications are to be in writing and only if there is a necessity. Review the retreat schedule. Show up at least 10 minutes early prior to each session. Okay? So I don't know, Ulrika, if I told you, but you're going to be one of the key people here with Ava. Where is Ulrika? There she is. Okay, so there's Ulrika. You all know Ava. Ava, if you want to assign a couple of other people since there's so many people here to be communicators with you and Ulrika, just let me know. So if there's a problem or a question involving the facility or any other issue, then right now you'll see Ava or Ulrika, and they will help you with that. Yes. Okay, so any question with regards to Mundekulla, the reception, which is in the building on the far left, right? Yeah, on the road. And it says reception, so that helps. Okay. Yeah. So we ask that you turn off and do not use electronic devices. Kindle use or any kind of an ebook is okay, but please try to stay off your phone and your computer. Stay on the grounds for the duration of the retreat, which includes walks or hikes. If for any reason you have to leave, we ask that you please speak to Ava first. Okay? Sometimes people need to get aspirin or we can take care of that. We prefer you not leave. As you know, food is prepared for you at this retreat, except what is provided. No smoking, drugs, or alcohol. Sat Shree also asks that you do not fast during this retreat and that you conduct no other spiritual practices such as mantras or prayers without Sat Shree's okay. Which what he's saying is if he hasn't given it to you, then do not use it unless you have talked to him and he has said yes. Any questions? Anna Marie? No.
Okay, so I can't do my things.
Well, you can do yoga.
Okay.
Yeah, just not mantras or yeah, of course you can do qigong. Anywhere, there's lots of room. Okay. All right. We ask that you honor what you're trying to create for yourself during this retreat. Remain inwardly silent and outwardly quiet as possible. Strive to accept the conditions of the retreat. Your rooms, the meals, your roommates, etc., as an opportunity to let go of your preferences and habits. Notice your reactions, feelings, and thoughts. Record these down with any insights, revelations, or realizations. You can place notes or a note if you have a notebook with you or you have notes and you want Sat Shree to, if you want to share this with Sat Shree, somewhere there's a notes for Sat Shree basket, Brahmananda. There's a big box. That's good. Okay, so there's a big metal box. I see it on the edge of the table. Okay, good. You just put your notes or, and he does try to respond to everybody. And you'll know if he responds, he writes in red. Okay. Sometimes he takes your question or insight and he will use it as a talk, but he won't say, oh, so-and-so said this and share that part. He will keep your confidentiality. Okay. So let's talk about silent sitting. Silent sitting is not necessarily meditation. It is a conscious effort to be still and silent, outwardly and inwardly. So there will be silent sittings each day of 1.5 hours. I did not catch this. That for those of you anticipating the 9-day, it'll be 2-hour sittings. But for this one, it's 1.5 hours. So here are the guidelines for the silent sessions. Do not leave the circle. Do not leave the room during the sitting. You may leave the room after Sat Shree has left. Move as little as possible. If you need to move or change positions, do so quietly and slowly as possible. Just do the best you can. There's a lot of people in this room. It's going to get noisy. Feel free to wear earplugs, headsets, whatever you need to do if you really are bothered by noise. Make as little noise as possible. If you need to cough or sneeze, bring a big shawl or a towel, please, and cover your mouth. I cannot tell you what happens in the room. You'll be like, oh, I'm finally reaching that state, and somebody sneezes. And so, anyway, it happens. So if you got something big, it's better than your hand. You can still hear. I've sat through many, many of these programs. I know other people have too. Okay, for the silent sittings, you can sit on a chair or you can sit on the floor in a back jack or whatever, if you brought a chair or however you would like to sit. That is your choice. You can recline, but no laying down. In fact, even after the meditation's over with and you might feel like, oh, I just want to lay down. No. Sat Shree says, if you feel like you need to go out, get yourself up and go back to your room. Okay. He does not want people sleeping in the meditation hall. This is the fun one. You cannot leave to go to the bathroom. So the minute you come in this room for the 1.5 hours, you're in this room. We ask that you be in the room. So that means you need to use the toilets beforehand and then just restrict your water intake or your coffee intake before these programs. Try not to fall asleep. This happens. People will start often snoring. This happens. It could be me. It could be any one of you in this room. Just be with it. Just be the space for their snoring, because that could be you next time. And it can be really, if it's really, really disturbing, Sat Shree sometimes will come up to someone and touch them, but he had somebody almost kick him in the face one day. So, because, you're out, here's somebody touching you. So, just be with it as best you can. Okay. We ask that you don't read or write during the sits. And no standing or moving about except to stretch. And then also some people have permission to stand during the programs. You can just really pretty much stand in your space, stretch, and turn around or whatever. If you get really crampy. But, 1.5 hours, it can be done. And remember, Sat Shree is bringing the force into the room. So those of you who have trouble with 45 minutes at your home, 1.5 hours is very different when the teacher is transmitting the force into the room. Any questions? Am I leaving anything out, Ramananda or Tom?
Can't think of anything.
Nothing yet. Okay. The last thing is what Sat Shree says. He has silent sitting exercises. You want to go ahead and call him? Okay. The following are recommended exercises to practice during each sitting. Be aware of your breath. Be aware of the energy in your body. Be here now. Be in the present moment. Notice what resists being present. So, when you're in the present moment, you can go into your heart. Some people go to their heart. Some people go to their third. You're going into your body and you're just being present. So notice what resists that. It could be thoughts. So, notice blocks, resistances, pressure, pain. Identify where they are in your body. It's always in your body. Put your attention on that location, feeling into the experience until it speaks to you or it fades. Notice what is going on in your body, because this is where it's all happening. Try to identify its source. Hint, its origin is not outside of you. It's all in here. Record your insights. Okay. Any questions? Josine.
Can I use my phone because I don't have
For alarm? Yes. Yeah. We just ask that you don't. Yeah, well, I'm not going to have cameras out there watching you, but it's your integrity. What can I say? All right. So the next part of this, while we're waiting for Sat Shree, is small groups are really a key part of what we do in this program, in any of our long-term programs. And I was going to read something. Did anybody bring their small group package with them? The one I left in my room? Yeah. I was going to read this thing that talks about how important. Oh, Anders. Thank you. There's a little paragraph that talks about what the small group container is and why Sat Shree likes to use it. So the small group is a container to put into practice all the teachings that Sat Shree offers in retreats. These groups offer the possibility to come to presence, invite the ego to collaborate with one's higher purpose, and let the Sat force do the work. The facilitator, so there's a small group leader for each group, is anchored in doing nothing but holding space and possibility. As the facilitator does this, a knowing arises about how to guide the group and perhaps intervene with participants. So basically, all of you will be assigned a group, and there will be a group leader, and they have already made the arrangements for when you will be meeting. You'll be meeting at least twice during this whole period of time. So, and the most important part of this is, you're in the group. Some of you will be processing a little, some not. There's going to be every experience happening. There's only one rule, that you have to be at that small group meeting, and you can't leave the boat, which means you go to the meeting, you may be having an awful day. Everyone in that group could be just totally pissing you off, and you just want to get up, throw your chair, and walk out the door, but you don't. You just sit there. And then maybe you can have a dialogue with your facilitator, but you stay in the boat. Because once you do that, you basically put your ego, you just said, hey, you're not in charge. The being who I am, my true self, is running the show. And once you just take that one step, the next step is just that much easier. Okay, so I am going to just go down the list and read out the small group leaders. They're just going to stand up. Once I'm all done, I want each leader then, starting with the first group, to read off who's in their group. Does that sound like that's going to work? Anders, please.
There's a list on the information table with a schedule. We're going to meet Sunday and Tuesday. That's right, yeah. And there are 4 different rooms, and it's written on the piece of paper on the information.
Perfect. Okay, and we'll be here to ask questions. All right, so group leader 1 is Jan. Jan, just read off who's in your list. I think this will be easier.
Andreas, Anita, Anna Ivarsson.
Oh, thanks.
From the top.
From the top again. Okay.
Hey, there you are.
It's Aina, Andreas, Anita, Anna Ivarsson, Anne Einvet, Anne-Marie, Antti, Arthur, and Barbara. And we are going to meet on Sunday 9 in this room. So we are going to sit here between 9 and 10:40.
Okay. Group leader 2 is Vasudeva.
Okay, and in my group, we have Asa, Ashish, Brian Porter, Brian Robinson, Karina, Katharina, Charlotte, Krister, and Ina. And we'll meet upstairs at 9 o'clock until 10:40 on Sunday.
Okay. Group 3, Anders. And by the way, for whatever reason, if you don't hear your name call, see me afterwards because there's 84 of you and there's bound to be at least one mistake. So it wasn't done on purpose. Okay, Anders.
Group 3, Kristina, Dick, Erik, Eva Areskog, Eva Lestander, Gordon, Grace Jotitara, Gunilla, Marike, Christian.
Perfect.
And Cybrand?
Cybron.
Oh, yes, we're going to meet in the reception house upstairs. So there's an outside staircase to the right when you come to the reception house upstairs.
Okay, Cybron. Group 4.
Group number 4, Eva, Josje, Ulla, Torbjorn, Tom, Stella, Sonja, Simon, and Hiroko. Eva, you. Again.
All right.
And we meet in the old house, and I found it. It's if you go straight up, it's the one house with a fence around it. So we also start at 9 on Sunday.
Okay, group 5, Ulrika. Here she comes.
So group 5, it's Irmela, Jicke, Joachim, Joanna, Johan, Josine, Jauki, Brahmananda, and Gunnar. And we will meet here 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Which day?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Ani, group 6.
So group 6, that is Kajsa, Carlo, Kathleen, Key, Lars-Åke, Lars, Lesh, Lina Eriksson, och Lina Bayer. And we will meet on Sunday at 2 o'clock, and that will be in the upper dining hall.
Okay, Michael, group 7.
So group 7, Lisa, Malin Janavi, Mariken, Marit, Vincent, Michael, Noemi, Viveka, Sebastian, and Chiva. And we will meet 2 o'clock Sunday at the same place where Anders are meeting. It's the reception, and also outside of the reception there is a stair, and on floor 1. Okay.
Okay. And now group 8, Sven. It's so nice to hear the names correct.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to get even close.
Yeah, the group 8 then, it's the rest. Pelle. I don't know all of you actually, but
you will.
You will know me. Per, Pirjo, Rama, Rasmus, Rita, Scott, Margareta, Sita, Mette. Och we are meeting in the villa, I call it. It's the old house all the way down there where there is a fence around.
Yeah, it's across the street.
It's across the street. Yes, 2 o'clock on Sunday.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone feel left out? We got everybody? Okay. All right. So Sat Shree is now in the room. So we're going to go ahead with the next part of our program. And I told my daughter that if she went live, then we would be live. So I told her I would say hi. Hi, Sonia. I don't know if she's still on because she was at work. But anyway, miss you. Love you. Okay. All yours.
Ah, holy shit.
What? You're not supposed to swear.
Too late. Okay. Well, this is very, very cool. I'm very, very happy that this got organized. You all got here by plane, train, bus, car. I don't think bicycle. So welcome. Welcome and congratulations. So I've seen many of you in the various programs we've done in this 2-month tour of Europe. This is our last program here, and it's the grand finale. So what that may be will be different for each of you. Remember, we're looking for that quality of unchanging truth that you are, not some kind of grand firework or profound insight. These are just things that happen along the way. And the nature of this particular retreat is it is an immersion into that essential quality of what you are. Unlike other retreats, we will spend hours and hours and hours together, sitting in silence and stillness. So welcome. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes and touch bases with each one of you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Mm.
I always bring this up, and I know that takes a lot of time, but I would like everyone to say their name so I know who they are. No, not this time. Too many. Darn. I tried.
Yeah, we can't.
I know there's so many people I don't know.
It's okay. You can go to the small groups.
Thank you.
We're all one, so I work from that place. There's nothing new.
Forgets my name sometimes too.
Just different.
Okay. Please, am I falling off? I'm falling off. All right. Thank you, Michael. Okay.
So it came to me the other day that the work I'm doing is shifted, and the nature of the shift is that the part that I actually love the most is the personal contact is not going to be as available, and it's just how it goes. And but I will say one thing is that there are eight people, and probably 8 people behind them, who I am training to come to a relationship with the truth that I carry within themselves, to hold the opportunity for this to continue, for each of you to continue to be supported individually. And I will still be listening and attending to what is happening with you in this process for as long as that is possible. But remember, the nature of the truth of our relationship is the force that comes through and the quality of the being that is being expressed. And it's nothing more is needed than physical proximity or just a connection. There are many people who I have not met, who I hear about years later, who have been making solid progress just by watching the videos or being in the remote programs. So I'm recognizing there's a shift. I'm not doing it. It's what's happening. You're causing it. If I want to blame somebody. You're all doing it by shifting it yourselves and shifting your lives and shifting the people who may be linked to you. So there's some things I wanted to speak of tonight. And the most important is that this is a co-creation. There's a lot of serious people in this room, a lot of people who are committed and clear and ready and who have traveled a significant distance of the journey through many different teachers and many different trials and errors and falling downs and standing back ups. So I'm here in respect and regard for that cumulative wisdom and truth and resolve and grit that has allowed you to be in this room together with others like yourself. So I would say this is a serious business. We're engaged now. We're coming out of the childhood, the playground, the field of the fun parts of the spiritual path where you get relief from your suffering and moments of happiness and presence and the ability to be relaxed with yourself and okay, into something that starts penetrating into what's left in you. The piece of the collective air that you're not yet been ready for or had the opportunity to meet within yourself. That piece that is still dark, still obscured, still unenlightened. So that's in my recognition of yourself. I also ask you to recognize what this opportunity is. That you're bringing the intention to get the value, to discover what it is that's left for you on your journey, to get out of the perspective that you're unwittingly habituated to and be able to shift your relationship to the unfolding of yourself as you know it, your life as you know it, and God and truth as you know it so far. So you could say this is graduate school, or at least college. Some of you are freshmen, I know, but it's okay. Everybody's welcome. We're all going to meet the battle in our own turf, in our own ways. We're the ones who walk this path. We're the ones that discover it for yourself what is true and what not true. What I'm here to do is sharpen your pencil, is to clarify and empower that part of you that can recognize what's in the way, what's not true, what still separates you from existence, what still separates you from that eternal principle that exists in everyone, not just us, that gets in the way of our ability to know our freedom, to know our authority, our power, our capacity for love and for sacrifice and for taking actions where it serves something greater than ourselves. So we do this by honoring the structure. And we've talked about this, I'm sure Satyamayi has talked about this. Yeah. And that's showing up, participating, stay in the process, whatever that may be. Sometimes it may seem overwhelming, but all you need to do is to sit and be still with whatever is arising. Even if you don't feel it's a familiar, scary, disturbing, distorted pain or structure within yourself, all you need to do is know that this is perfect. This is exactly the place for that to show up, because in this context, you're supported as you never could be supported otherwise. Your higher self is what got you in this room. I'm here to support that higher self, to be able to have a say in your life in terms of using these next 5 days or so to support you in breaking through, shifting, coming to a more full and true and authentic relationship with that divine reality that you already are. So it's a quest for what's already here. But in the process, you're going to find all those other things you made real, all those other things you made important, all those other things you inherited or took on that you didn't even know were there. That would be the best expression. To turn on the lights, not just in your intelligence, but in your whole being, so you can recognize how you are unwittingly perpetuating the error that separates you from that divine reality. See, that's the opportunity. All you have to do is be willing. This force is like magic. It works in ways it's always surprising even to me. It works from the inside out. It works in ways your mind will not be able to follow. You may keep believing you haven't changed or there's nothing happening or nothing is going on. But if you can just have faith in my words, that it's all perfect, that it's all arising, and that to be present with what it is that may arise, including nothing happening, because there's no such thing as nothing happening. It's a vigorous something happening that can allow nothing to happen. Your process is to discover what that nothing may be, if that should be, or a numbness, or an inability to connect to a part of yourself. So your entry point of my work, and the entry point of this 5 days, is your body. We're going to focus on the body. We're going to use the body as an instrument. We're going to tune it up. We're going to open it up. We're going to make it into a more effective sensing instrument. So it's not about so much transcendence and expansion and bliss and love, although these may happen and they're wonderful things. But you want to find what your body is doing, what's going on with your body while you're in this process. Because if no other reason, it takes that bliss and spaciousness and freedom and embodies it. Or it takes that love and connection and relaxation and embodies it. You want to train your body to be connected to those higher states when they do come. And if it's not the higher states, it's the obscurations and the resistances and the blocks and the habitual patterns that you've been burdened with and that you're carrying in your life, then meet them too in your body. You learn to awaken to the ability of your body to know what is true or real, and in the process, inhabit your body. The inhabiting of your body is what converts awareness into presence. Awareness is a witness. It's a looking. It's a knowing without thinking. It's a great, wonderful thing, but it's child play. It's the beginning. It's looking at the predicament of yourself through a window, through a veil of your psychic consciousness. What you want to do is enter it, bring it into the body. So what you do, and that's what I'm going to do right now with all of you, is give you some instructions on how to take your consciousness, your awareness, and put it in your body. So we're going to do a little exercise before we step into this, the rest of what we're going to cover tonight, so that you can just begin to practice. Okay, so there are three main modalities of experience that occurs. The modality of awareness that comes through the mental, the modality of experience that comes through the vital or the physical. Those two are all experienced in your body in various ways. They are all experienced through the main centers, the head, the heart, the gut, and the base chakras, which is first and second. So everything that's going on in you in any one moment has its match in what's going on in your body. So if you are in anguish, you will be able to be, for example, if you pay attention, you'll feel a throttling of your throat, or a closing down of your heart, or a difficulty to breathe, or a pain in your diaphragm, or a clench in your gut, or you won't feel your first or second chakra. They'll be completely numb. You can't access them. And there is that's just one of the numbers of examples where you can actually begin to take what you are mood or your feeling or the event that rose up, step away from the story, step away from the drama, step away from the emotional event enough to find the body's match to that. And then stay in your body with the match. So you don't need to handle the anxiousness or the dread or the doubt or the self-questioning or the disturbing judgment or irritation or reaction that's occurring through any of those things. You can meet them without a label as an event occurring in your body. The same thing that allows you to know you're thirsty. The same thing that allows you to know you're tired. The same thing that allows you to know you're hungry. The same thing that feels discomfort. The same thing that feels a problem with your digestion or gas. The same thing that lets you know it's time to go to the bathroom. The body actually is a tremendous vehicle for sensing these things, but we've been using them only in that one category, those categories, so they can actually become refined. So no matter what is the event that's coming up, the opportunity to step out of your head, step out of your story, step out of the drama, step out of your addiction to act it out through action, through behavior or misbehavior, and find what's going on. And it can be as subtle as noticing you're really very critical of everybody with you, like your roommate or the other people in your small groups. This, by the way, will probably be the arena where you start meeting those things in you that does not know yet how to be in existence truly. Is in your roommate, in the people that you encounter in the course of these 5 days, and in the small groups, as well as in this room. So we'll do this by doing a little exercise. First of all, I invite you to become aware of your awareness. Just close your eyes or eyes open, either way. Put anything in your lap down if you can, so you don't have to worry about something falling out of your lap. Okay, be aware of your breath. Take a few breaths, 3 breaths. Now see if you can find the center of your awareness. Where is it located? Is it in your eyes? Is it in your head? Is it in your heart? Is it some other place? And wherever it's paying, wherever it is now, put your attention on your left big toe. Just move it. Move your toe if you have to. Okay, now the right big toe. Now the bottom of your feet. The right side, the left side. Pay attention to your ankles. Imagine yourself with your awareness embracing your ankles. Come up your body, first on the right side, up into the calf, the knee, the thigh, and then on the left side, up your calf, the knee, all around the knee, the thigh, both sides of the thighs, all around. It's a three-dimensional object, by the way. And then up to your hips. Be aware of the small of your back, your buttocks. Be aware of your genitals. Be aware of your lower stomach. Be aware of the small of your back. Just put yourself in those places. Just put your awareness there. Now let's just take a little time sitting with those lower part of your body. Be aware of the lower part of your body from the bottom of your feet to your hips, your buttocks, first chakra, second chakra, small of your back. Okay, now move your awareness up into your belly, third chakra. Rest there for a little bit and see what you notice. Usually this is where we hold a lot of our individuality, our conscious individuality in our third chakra. It's our anticipation and our control and our fear, our stress. Notice what's there. If there's anything, or if there's spaciousness, if it's comfortable or uncomfortable. And then opposite of that in your back, so the upper part of your lower back. Notice if you're holding any pressure there, if there's any heat or stress. Okay, now move your awareness up from your stomach into your diaphragm, the upper part of your stomach, just before it hits your chest, hits the chest area. Notice if there's any tension in the band of your diaphragm. Notice if there's any effect of your body by putting your attention there. Notice any experience, sensation, pressure. Move up into your heart. Notice, by the way, in any of these areas where you don't experience anything, even when you put your awareness there. Make a note of any area that's dead to you, where there's nothing there. Because you'll want to explore that later. So in your heart, notice what happens when you animate your heart, when you occupy the heart area. Not only the front part of the heart, but the back part of the heart, of the chest, of the spine, of your back. And now bring it up, slowly bring it up to your throat, to your shoulders, to your shoulder blades, that whole area, throat, shoulder blades, front and back. Notice any tension there. Just be aware of your consciousness being in that location, and if there's anything the body is telling you about that location. It'll be experiencing or unknowing. And now come up your face, from the throat up into both sides of your face, from behind the jaw, the lower chin, the sides of your face, the ears, the back of your head, starting from the small of the intersection of your neck to your skull. And then bring your consciousness as if your hands are holding the whole head, all around it, and lifting up your awareness to include the whole head. Now go back and check the rest of your body. Check the feet, check the legs, check the hips, check the seat, the buttocks, the lower chakras, the belly. Just check where it all is simultaneously. Feeling yourself, your awareness to include the whole body. Try to stay conscious. And then come back in touch with your heart and your back, your shoulders, your throat, your head, the top of your head. And now include your whole body. Have your awareness like a bubble. Include your whole body as if your body is in the field of your awareness. You're a bubble, creating a bubble of your body in your awareness. And where there is the body, and then there's you as awareness. Notice what you notice. Experience what you experience. Is there anything there? A relaxation, a coming to ease, some kind of tension, some disturbing emotion, some discomfort. Be aware of it. That's all you have to do. Okay, now I want you to pull your awareness back into your body and back into your conscious, present, awake place. So come back. Come back into your body. Be back into the room. So one of the great powers that we have as human beings is our ability to direct our awareness. I call it direct our attention. When we take our attention, take our awareness, and we direct it somewhere, we empower what we direct it to. We bring consciousness to what we attend to, just like you became conscious of the bottom of your feet. Up until that moment, you weren't paying attention to the bottom of your feet. Not that the feet need your attention, but you need to know you have feet. You need to know you have a body. You need to know that your body is the most extraordinary instrument Mother Nature has been able to create. And that its huge depths and breadths and complexity can reveal to you as consciousness the fundamental truths of not only of yourself, but existence. And as we step into the domain of true spirituality, the body becomes a more effective instrument for knowing and experiencing what is true and what's not than the heart, the emotions, the feelings, the sensory nature, or the mind or intellect. Even those of you who have a psychic awareness, where you can know things without thinking, where there's insights and all that, it's still a defective instrument compared to the body's ability to tell what truth is, to bring you to a relationship to what it means to be embodied, which means to be in existence. That means to know you exist. We take this fundamental truth of our own existence for granted, yet it is the one truth you're here to be able to make real for yourself, and you will do that by embodying it. That's my experience. That's what's happened for me. That's the journey I've traveled. And for those I'm working with, the body begins to be the vehicle that wakes up. No matter how awake the consciousness is, how awake the awareness is, the body starts catching up. And then with the body comes all these lower aspects of our nature, our drives, our desires, our fears, our adaptations, our conditions, our memories, our pieces of the family ancestral karma. All of this will be revealed. The Bhagavad Gita in the 13th chapter makes a remarkable statement, because the Gita has been revealing all these great wisdoms and truths that have carried throughout the ages. And it seems like, no, just knowing these, just if we knew these, then we would get there. But it's saying, no. Arjuna, those who know the truth of both, say this body is the field. And one who knows its truth is called the knower of the field. And in all the fields, I am the knower. It's pointing to a fundamental truth that the part of us that can know it exists is the same as the supreme consciousness. That we are all expressions of that supreme consciousness, but that essential quality of what we are can only be known when it's embodied. The Supreme cannot know itself unless it's embodied. Without a body, you know nothing except the nature of your own consciousness, the nature of the subjective content of the experiences and the impressions that you've gathered in the course of this life and past lives. But when you want to get to truth of the truth, the fundamental truth is I exist. You exist. We exist. We are conscious of our existence. And in that inherent principle of our own existence, body in the planet, we enter into a domain of possibilities that's not available to anything else in existence, living or not, in order to experience itself in existence. We're the only ones. And yet we take it for granted. It's the fundamental assumption. We don't even question it, like the air. We are all existing, each one of us. I can say, I exist. I'm sitting here in front of all of you. I exist. This is like base, start, the beginning letter of the alphabet. This is where all information begins. My own existence. There is nothing outside of your own existence except what you wittingly or unwittingly create. Even me sitting in front of this room. See, we don't know who we are because of the error of our embodiment. The very thing that gives us the opportunity to know our divine nature is the source of that which is what prevents us from knowing our divine nature. The simultaneous paradox. Bound, free, ignorant, knowing. Disconnected, connected. Alone, and merged in the oneness. So what were you before you were born? What were you before you were born? You say, I exist now. That's there. You got that? So did you exist before you were born? Just ask the question. Don't have to have the answer. What was I before I was born? What will I be after I die? What am I now? If you are the only experiencer of this universe, if you are the only one, the only information, the only possible knowing you can have is as I exist now, so I have existed before, and so I will continue to exist. It's the only information you have. People can tell you all kinds of things. But you have that. I exist. That's the self-evident truth. No one else can take that away from you. They can tell you you don't exist. You don't have to believe them. You might believe them. you don't exist. They can say you're not worthy to exist. They can tell you you're shit. They can do all kinds of things, but you are existing so that you can hear someone tell you you don't deserve to exist. But usually we're the ones who have that conversation. We're the ones that come to that conclusion. I don't deserve to exist. And if you want to look at the fundamental structure of our suffering, there it is. Shame. Shame. As if something's wrong with us that we exist. It's not just that. It's just the nature of embodiment. It's so uncomfortable relative to what pure consciousness is. And so extraordinarily delightful. Often simultaneous. So we're looking for self-evident truths, and then we're looking for what's in the way of being able to directly experience those self-evident truths. So you can't look at your mind. You're not going to be able to get this by your thinking. Hopefully you can follow my words enough to know that the words aren't what are important. It's what they're pointing to. They're pointing to a quality of being that you are right here, right now, and that you already irrevocably know this. And you're just fooling yourself if you can think otherwise, imagine otherwise. This is where the Gita started. The Gita starts with that conversation of the soul. That principle of our own self-existent existence. And that's what we're doing here. The root of these days will be you sitting in silence and stillness and simply being in touch with your own existence to whatever way it is showing up for you, with or without content. So if you have pain, if you have discomfort, if you have anxiety, if you have dreadful experiences, it's only because you exist that you have those. Now, the thing that's true about it, this is not just an abstract principle. That quality in you that can know it exists is the source of your personal power. It's the source of that which can bring you into existence in ways you haven't up to now. It's who I am talking to in this room. Is that true authority of that very simple, self-existent reality that you are right now, that is free, ultimately, of the content that is preventing you from knowing that. And because the content is there doesn't mean that this truth, this authority, this power isn't there. It just means that that conditioned part of you, that thinking, feeling, acting, judging, reacting, wanting, craving, desiring part of you can't know it. Because it's so simple, we ignore it. Because it's so apparent, we don't think it means anything, it has anything for us. We're addicted to knowledge. We're addicted to experience as the evidence of our existence. I exist because I think. I exist because I'm angry. I exist because I'm happy. I exist because I just had a great meal. I exist because I'm with good company. So we add a content defining that self-evident truth. So we're going to simplify. We want to become simple, like a flower in a field that responds to the sun and the wind and the sky and the weather, that has its time in existence and then fades out of existence. We're just here for our little season, our season of life. Be it 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 100 years. It's our little season, our spring, summer, autumn, and winter. While we're in this ride, while we're in this current, there is one thing that's riding this current. There is one thing living this season. That quality of you is what knows and experiences. That quality of you can have infinite number of experiences, but to use those experiences or infinite amount of knowledge, but to use that knowledge to define your reality, to define the possibility of existence, to limit the boundaries of what's possible for you in the season is the error. So as we simplify, as we sit in silence and stillness, and as you sit in silence and stillness with myself and with other very developed souls in the room, this essential reality of you will become more apparent to you. Now, it doesn't become more apparent in the ways we're used to things being apparent, like to understand something, see something, read it, understand it, or to feel something, taste it, touch it, or any other modes of knowing. It's a knowing from the inside that nourishes the knower, nourishes the experiencer, clarifies it, brings it down to its original, back to its original nature, so that you can learn to be in relationship with your usual content from a different place, where I am having endless thoughts and I can't meditate, to I am noticing these thoughts that I imagine are preventing me from meditating. So let me meditate on my negative thoughts. Let me just be with what is arising at this moment that before I would be lost in, identified with, believing, making conclusions about the moment, this time. And just notice what's going on with yourself right now. Pay attention to your body. Try to relax. Relax into what's there for you. Kind of sink into it. What's your big toe telling you about how you are right now? Is it feeling left out? Notice what's arising if there's emotions or sensations. Notice the sense, the experience. Are you feeling warm? Are you feeling that energy, that fire, that beingness? Are your thoughts emptying? Or are they struggling? Can you feel that energy in your body? Where is it? Is it moving? Or where it's not, where there's nothing happening? See, that awareness is your existing. The ability to pay attention and notice is you animating, using your capacity of awareness in existence to attend to what you're experiencing or knowing, to attend to the part of you that's making conclusions or having reactions or assessing or experiencing. Okay. So this is really the essence of what we're doing. This is the essence of what to do for yourself. Everything else will arise from this. All the content, all the insights, all the realizations, all the things that may happen over the course of these days. The stories you'll bring forward, the impulses that you have to share or to hide out, the fear or the being need to be secret, not to let anybody know. All of this is going to be arising from this base, as it's a revealing of the nature of your predicament, the nature of who you are, the nature of your whoing, the personality of you, your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your sensations, your habits, your preferences, your reactions, your judgments, the acquired content of you in your adaptation to existence, how lovable you are, how unlovable you are, how safe it is, how unsafe it is. They'll all be running in this field that we're bringing forward, so that you, that essential quality, can be there as they are going on. In that process, they lose their convincing reality. The more you can strengthen the perceiver, the less the less it is obscured in its ability to perceive. The more you know yourself as the experiencer of the emotion or the sensation or whatever, the more you become free of the content that you're experiencing. The more you also begin to expand your ability to experience and to know what was there all along in you that you weren't noticing because you were so caught up in other more superficial content. That you're living in a sense of self to whatever extent you've been able to dive into yourself, or whatever understanding you have of who you are. And now you'll be able to dive into places you haven't been able to dive into before. And you may not like it. I assure you, you will not like it. It won't necessarily make you happy. You may be very uncomfortable. And you may really, really want to do the usual things you do when you're uncomfortable, which is get the hell out of the place, right? Or do something different than you were just doing. So notice all this arising, and the opportunity for you as the creator of your own existence is to choose to be with what is arising for you. Okay, I'm really hating being in this room right now. I'm really thinking this isn't doing anything for me. I don't get the thing, what he's talking about. There's this uncomfortable with not knowing and wanting to dismiss it. Like this can't possibly lead anywhere. I know all this shit. I had to go through all this shit too. We all have to dive into this whole domain of what it means to be a human and realize how awful it is to be a human, ourselves being one of them. One of those creatures. And then you be with it. And when you be with it, something changes in our relationship, not only with ourselves, but with existence as we know it, by choosing to be where we are with what is arising. What in us chooses also becomes more apparent to you each time you can catch yourself doing your usual human ego shit, whatever that may be. Look at me being unhappy. Look at me being uncomfortable. Oh, look at me not wanting to be here right now. That's our limitation. That's the boundary that we have been able to come to existence, up to that not wanting to come into existence with what is now arising. Is all those things we've been avoiding. All those experiences we've been trying to protect ourselves from having to experience or know. So the opportunity here is to use that authority that comes with your self-existent existence to choose to be with what is actually happening for you anytime over the numbers of minutes that there are between now and when this program ends. And I'm sure it's thousands. I can't run the number right now, but there are going to be many opportunities to choose that moment. That moment will become your opportunity to meet the next level of yourself that you haven't been able to know, that has something to do with your ability to perceive accurately the nature of yourself and existence. To reveal for you what separates you from your own divine nature, your own unlimited power, your own freedom, your own capacity for true enjoyment, true love, true knowing, true wisdom. Doesn't have its basis on any content. Doesn't have any basis on what you've been in the past. Its only limitation is how awake your body is. How much you've been attending to this vessel you're occupying. The more you can occupy this vessel, the more you can fulfill your purpose in existence. Right? We come into the season for a reason. We don't just come into the season for enjoyment of the season. Certainly the flower does that. But we do it for something else. We do it to wake up. To wake the fucking up. To get the hell out of the hellhole. We're the ones that can create a hellhole and then also want to get out of it. We are the ones that create this season through our unwitting wanting to know what it is to be limited, to be small, to be bound, to be unfree, to be miserable, to be isolated and alone, to suffer, to have pain, to have injustice happen to us, to have cruelty, to have terrible things happen while we're embodied. We choose to be in existence. Each of us. Now, for most of us in this room, we've traveled this for many, 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 many lifetimes. And now we're saying, okay, yeah, I'm done with this season. I want to have more options here. What are my choices? So this is about that. This is about you returning to your original nature and then to have choice. To choose to be free or choose to remain bound. To choose to come out of your habitual limited way of being or expand into another possibility of being that you don't know yet. And why would you choose it? Because it becomes evidential to you. It becomes your own experience. It becomes your knowing that when you're able to meet something that you couldn't be with before, and you could stay with it and meet it and let it reveal its nature, you can be with it. It's like what separates us from our true nature is like an elephant. Okay? And the nature of being able to become free is you got to eat the whole elephant. All right? So the way you eat the elephant is one moment at a time, one bite at a time. And what is it? It's the thing about elephants that you didn't want to have anything to do with, right? Elephant isn't on our palate. So elephant is first the cutting up the elephant and then the chewing on the elephant and then the digesting of that piece of the elephant and let it become integrated into our consciousness. So every time we meet a piece of our existence that we don't want to be with, it's like eating the elephant, one piece of now at a time, one moment we're actually present, recognizing to choose, okay, this is what's between me and the truth of what I am. Let me take a bite out of this. Let me enter into it. And I'm not going to like it. I know I'm not going to like it. That's why I haven't eaten the elephant before. I've eaten everything else, but not the elephant. So the opportunity here is for you to be able to find what it is that you're still addicted to or habituated to, or that which you are still resisting and avoiding, that you didn't want to know about, both about you and yourself and your perspective and your point of view and the world and all the rest of the stuff, all that stuff, and meet it consciously, especially that which may come up in this program that you have not been able to know was there, where you were there with it. Where when it would come up, you would disappear. You would disappear. You, that is self-existent awareness, would disappear in the event of it showing up. The event of someone who you really like frowning at you. And you're thrown into this diminished reaction. And there is no witness there. You are the diminished reaction. It is that part that will likely show up. And what will also show up in this space is that quality of you that can notice it's just been overtaken. So you can see the reaction. You can feel the reaction happening. You can step back from it and meet that reaction and all the information associated with it, but in your body. Not as a story, not as this is what I do or this is what happens to me, but as an event that's occurring in your body. And then watch it digest. And you do that enough and you begin to develop a taste for elephant. Start looking forward to the next bite of elephant. You start seeking out what's the next piece of elephant. I'm sure there'll be restaurants, elephant restaurants. Just horrible cuisine, poorly cooked food, poor service. Have to pay money to go in there and meet everything in you that goes into repulsion. Slimy things, hard, tough. The body doesn't know slimy. We know slimy. We're the ones who can't stand slimy. Meeting slimy might be one of the steps in transmuting your relationship with existence. There's a lot of slimy things that happen with human relationships, by the way. So you probably open the door to better sex. Always curious where I go with this shit. Okay. All right. So what do we have that we're supposed to do tonight?
Well, let's see. We only have about half an hour. So you could take questions.
Oh, all right.
Why don't we?
How
that might be not a bad idea.
Okay.
Because this is a lot. What you
Oh,
have.
I know what I wanted to
this will
talk
take
about.
way too long.
No, I don't care. We got all night. They don't need to sleep. They can sleep while they're meditating. Yeah. Unless I hire some people to go around and wake people up, then you'll be really miserable.
You sure you don't want to do this tomorrow?
Oh, I'm having too much fun. I'm not going to stop now.
I'm going to keep you to the time.
You can just keep me posted.
I keep you posted. All right.
Keeping with time is like putting the pin in the butterfly.
Well, if you just let me read this, then we would get it through. Yeah, she's like,
Okay. All right, so I can do a summary. How's that?
Why don't we do that? That'd be much more interesting.
Okay, because they've got the material. They can read it on their own.
I didn't do the little caveat where we talk about, what we do up here, because not everybody knows us. Some people do.
Yeah, well, if we're on YouTube Live,
we are on YouTube Live. Yeah. Who is this guy? But it's only invite. So anyway, Sat Shree and I sit up here. He's the guru, and I'm the
sink.
I was just going to say the guru wife, but that doesn't carry it.
There's no such thing. Gurus doesn't have wives.
Gurus don't have wives, right? Okay.
The wives might think they have a guru, but the guru doesn't have a wife.
Oh my God.
It's an evolving relationship.
Anyway, I'll try. Basically, I can't go any further.
All right, you're useless.
At least tonight. Well, all right. So what happens is he does most of the talking. I do some talking. Normally, I'm the one who reads all the material. And I also hold the energy for the containers. So I will sometimes go out. I'll be sitting here, and then I haven't fallen out of my chair, though.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Make sure they have arms.
Right. So this one has arms. Yeah. But I will go out. I have not gone to sleep. I've just simply got so transcended I can't hold the energy in the body. So that happens sometimes too.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And we don't, I mean, this is all very spontaneous, but it is, serious.
Seriously spontaneous.
Okay.
All right.
So you're just going to do
I'm just
an
going to go with it.
overview.
Okay. So one thing I should say is that our season in existence actually is purposeful.
Yeah.
So this is the paradox. I mean, the fundamental is discovering what it is we are as self-existent existence. It doesn't go anywhere. There's nothing to do. It has no other criteria. But that quality, when we awake to it, because that's what we wake to, when there is an awakening, we wake up out of who we are into what we are. That whatness that we've waken up to is that self-existent reality. But our job, our purpose, is to awaken what is not awake. Okay, it's like we each have an individual mission. It's the nature of the game, like the gold ring on the Ferris wheel, where not the Ferris wheel, merry-go-round, where the horses are going up and down. Good day, bad day, good day, bad day, and you try to grab the gold ring. The gold ring of the spiritual path is to bring it into your body. Is to bring your awakened into your body, because that's what takes it from these transcendent, wonderful places, no doubt. Because self-existent reality, when it's in existence, is in Ananda. Ananda feels really good. And actually, it's what you've been trying to do your whole life, is feel really good. But you really only can feel as really good as your content allows you. So the amount of feeling good has been defined by how awake your body is. And it's limiting your ability to actually enjoy existence. See, enjoyment is freedom. To truly enjoy, you actually have to be free. There isn't anything else. If you're not free, if you're still bound, if you're still conditioned, if you're still saying, I really like that particular kind of enjoyment, then you're not enjoying. You're compensating. You're acquiring ability to enjoy as to avoid non-enjoyment. But there's no such thing in truth, non-enjoyment. Because enjoyment, as I'm using the word, is simply being in existence, experiencing existence. So you can enjoy being miserable. You can enjoy being happy. You can enjoy the tragedy. You can enjoy the reunion. You can enjoy the sorrow. You can enjoy the joy. The enjoy means the joy is coming from within. That existence is being acknowledged in your coming into existence through the interaction with existence. It is self-existent enjoyment that brings its joy into existence and discovers objects of enjoyment. Oh, suffering, dead, live, new baby, old person, capable, incapable, smart, stupid, angry, loving. It's the enjoyment isn't outside in, it's inside out. The quality of that self-existent reality, when it's in existence, is enjoyment, in the way I'm using it. Enjoyment. In the process of enjoying your own existence in existence. There's the payoff. When that starts happening, when you awaken, you begin to start sampling that love that arises within. That sense of freedom that's not dependent on anything around you. That sense of relaxation and peace that's not dependent on your circumstances or the people around you or how much money you have in the bank or what's happening in your life. So part of our work is to come into existence more fully. To learn what it means to be more fully in existence, aware of our own self-existent truth. Because that's our knower, that's our experiencer, that's the Purusha. And everything else, everything outside of you and everything within you that is Prakriti, all the dancing, all the movement, all the hooing and the hooers in the dimensions of the who's is what you enjoy. It's what you know, what you experience. Knowing or experiencing are all forms of enjoyment, right? Just look at your own experience. When you didn't understand, if you didn't know something, you learned about something, but you couldn't really figure it out, and then you understand it. Oh, that's what it's talking about. That's enjoyment. Every time that you said, oh, I wonder what it's like to be in Sweden, you know, there is going to Sweden, being in Sweden. There's an enjoyment that's different than the knowingness. What is Sweden? You look at the picture books, you look at the maps, you hear what people tell you about, and then they're showing up in Sweden. For you in Sweden, you take it for granted, right? So you don't enjoy Sweden the way I can enjoy Sweden. Now, Sweden's a lot like the rest of the world, but it's a different, unique flavor to be here in Sweden. So the nature of enjoyment is simply that delight of the diversity of existence, both high and low, dark and light, painful and pleasurable. There's no boundary because the enjoyment is arising from within. And what we're doing is coming into existence more fully in that process. Okay, there's a process. A process. What is a process? It's something that goes on in time, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the process of awakening our body, the brain, the nervous system, the chakras, the whole kit and caboodle that comes with a body, physical and energetic, takes time. And it's a process by which that self-existent reality of what you are, which doesn't need existence to exist, can come into existence with. That awareness, if you are awakened and you sit in that state of awakening, the true nature of the state of the awakening is there's no existence. Because it doesn't need existence to exist, and it's complete and whole within itself. That's the true nature of an awakening, of a what. But bringing that into existence is what makes that what enjoyable, is what brings it into that engagement with what it means to be self-existent. And in the process, that essential authority, that essential chooser, that essential learner and experiencer, knower and experiencer grows in breadth and depth. And we move into this dynamic relationship with existence. Then the purpose of your birth is fulfilled. See, that's the purpose. It's not to be good, to deserve heaven, to avoid being bad so you don't go to hell. It is not the purpose. That's bullshit. That's human stuff. This is another kind of content. It's to be alive, to be real, to be present. Now, you're doing that because when you wake up with yourself, you begin to realize that there's no difference between you and everyone else, if they know it or not. And then there is this regard for existence. As a matter of fact, there's this wonder for existence. To have so many different expressions of the same thing in all these different forms, all these different humans, all these different plants and trees and lands and seas and oceans and skies and beings, creatures that exist in all dimensions. So there's a natural ordering, a natural appreciation, a natural recognition, where there is no confusion about right or wrong or good or bad. There's no possibility of error that human beings can create out of their limitation, out of their suffering, out of their adaptions and conditioning that they take on. So it becomes an opportunity for existence to exist. It becomes you doing that work creates the space for existence to have the freedom to also come into existence as it was always a potential or a possibility. We are all born into this quadrant in order to transmute the quadrant what's in the cauldron, not to get out of it, to make it into a container of delight, a container of ananda, a container of existence coming into existence. All suffering is due to us not living aligned with that purpose. We create suffering by not being truly in existence. We perpetuate it wittingly or unwittingly. We keep the poison, we keep contaminating the waters. But when we wake up and we begin to integrate it, we begin to purify the waters. We become little pieces of purifying that start converting that which is not into its original purity. Just by our ability to be more fully in existence, where others don't have the choice or don't recognize they have the choice, have not come awakened enough to know they have a choice. So this purpose has stages. This unfolding of the nature of the awakening. Now, I have a story of all of existence called The Journey of Consciousness. So I recommend you go on the website and you watch that video or read that material. I have a book now that describes it as well. And the nature of that is the overall forming, the evolution of consciousness from its origin. All of this got revealed to me through the process of my experiencing. I began to recognize that there were two principles. There was one above and one below, one of unspeakable light and one of unspeakable darkness. And they came from the same source. And when they came into when existence came into existence, they came in the tension between those two, and that was duality. And from duality came all of this, all these worlds and all of us and everything that's ever happened and everything that ever will happen. This became the play field. This became the arena and darkness of light to work out the possibilities inherent in that division. Where you bring the two together, when the darkness and the light are the same, nothing's happening. Everything stops. It's not a now. There's literally the true non-existence. And you can experience that in samadhi, actually. And then you come out of samadhi and you can start experiencing the light and the dark, and you can become back into duality. And then there's a you and there's a them. So these are not abstractions. These are actually things that I've experienced. So I'm defining the journey of consciousness is a movement where consciousness descended into darkness, became the darkness. I mean, there's a great phrase. God didn't create the world. God became the world. We're the world. We're God. We're God in the world. That's the truth. So we became the world, lost ourselves in it, and then struggled to come out of it. And it wasn't even a struggle we had to do. It was inherent, like an object that in the bottom of the ocean that has the same quantum of air as that which is in the air will rise to the air, no matter how far it is in the ocean. It'll return to its source. Everything living will come back to its source, no matter how dark or how deep or how diminished it is. We will be automatically pulled to come back to our original nature. But it will feel like, when it gets into our human forms, that it will feel like a struggle. It'll feel like a struggle because we're so habituated to the darkness. We're so habituated to this diminished condition of existence that we don't even know we want what it is that is the full possibility. We may even be very afraid. Matter of fact, one of the evidences that we're growing is we start discovering things we're afraid of or we're repulsed by that we never knew we were afraid of or repulsed by. It's the evidence that we're beginning to see and meet the darkness and in the process convert it into more light and thereby accelerate our ability to come out of that condition. So all of evolution that Darwin discovered, this whole principle of consciousness unfolding in matter, creating very many more and more evolved forms of life and beings, to the point where it was successful in creating an animal that could wake up to itself, that carried enough neurological sophistication and complexity that consciousness could wake up to itself. And that's us. That's human beings. When human beings, that's an important stage of the journey. That evolution then continued. Human beings had to evolve through, primitive cavemen to tribes to villages to city-states to and all the rest of it until now. Learning to work together cooperative, learning to become more efficient, learning to understand the nature of the creation it found itself in, learning to expand its knowledge and its experience. And it could take that and convert that into more effective action so that other people wouldn't have to do the same thing they had to do. They're the ones that carved the first roads, build the first houses. They're the ones that created the first language. They're the ones that created principles and organizing structures that will keep humanity together in enough cooperation that they don't kill each other. And so this unfolding is going on at multiple levels concurrently. And as it comes out, at some point in that journey as human beings, we become aware of our own nature. We wake up. That's the beginning of the last stage of the journey. The last piece with a bubble reaching the surface where it's becoming more light, where there's a light that's coming that's not from... Well, actually, in truth, it's coming from itself all along, but a light that's coming that wasn't there before. And we begin to wake up into existence in a way that we hadn't been before. That journey is what the Bhagavad Gita describes. That is the journey we're talking about, and that's the journey you're all on. And it has very distinct stages, and it can be described. And that's what part of what this part talks about, is the stages of the unfolding of the awakening. So it starts with awakening. Now, when you awaken, what you awaken to, you awaken always to your bondage, or you're awakened to that which is not bound. So you wake to your bondage by waking up out of it, or you wake to your bondage by waking up in the midst of it. Both are waking ups. There's two kinds of waking ups. One where you become free for a period of time, and one in which you wake up to your suffering. You wake up to how miserable you are. You wake up to how limited you are, and how hard it is to be you in existence, and how awful it is to be you in existence. See, that's called dejection in the Bhagavad Gita. That's the first moment of recognizing that you're still bound. And that quality of waking up to what is the remaining bondage does not stop with the first awakening. It's actually a process. The first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita describe a process we all go through every time we meet a new limitation that we haven't had to experience of that nature before. And that limitation shows itself. When we become aware of that limitation, we come into a relationship with something that we now recognizing isn't working, creates suffering. That's how we know it's the anti-enjoyment. It's the anti-ananda. We discover ourselves into a miserable condition, and there is a cry, a need to come out of it. And that is what begins to have us seek to understand the nature of our suffering and the nature of the options to come out of the suffering. And this is the discrimination. What is the discrimination? And I just gave you the discrimination at the beginning of this talk. The thing you need to know is what was revealed in the Bhagavad Gita as the soul is our self-existent existence. The very principle that gives us a sense of I amness, that I am in existence, comes from that principle the Bhagavad Gita calls as the soul. And this soul was never born, and it never dies. It cannot be burnt, it cannot be killed. It is primordial, and it's eternal, and you cannot lose it. So with that, then you get the beginning of discrimination. So when we go into this weekend, you're going, into the 6th day, you're into this process with a new discrimination as your basis. Rather than your mood and your story and your history and your sex and your cultural history and the rest of it, you're coming into relationship with yourself from that new basis. That gives you discernment, the ability to see in a way you haven't seen before. the ability to perceive and to experience something of the nature of you from a point of view, from an energetic state of consciousness that hasn't been available to you previously. What does that do when you're actually able to discriminate? Well, you discover new ways to act, new ways to be with yourself when this comes up. You have the ability to restrain the usual ways you would behave that would perpetuate the misery and start to enhance new ways to behave that diminish or reduce the suffering, the limitation. And then what does that lead to? Knowledge. You start working, oh, that worked. This doesn't work. This learning of what worked and what didn't work. This nature of, all right. Thank you, dear.
No, that's going to end.
Oh, that's going to end.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. You got 10 minutes. Then you return to your normal consciousness. Sorry. I didn't do that. You did that. But we are going to continue exploring the depths of the possibility of what this evening will reveal. We'll see. So this knowledge, the quality of this knowledge is experiential knowledge. It's like hands-on knowledge. It's like when I went to architectural school, I was really poor, so I had to work my way through school. So while they were teaching me how to design and calculate structure, beams and arcs and foundations and all the rest of it, I was working for a structural engineer doing the drawings. And I could take the information and apply it to the work I was doing the other part of my day. So that applied knowledge made it more real for me in the process. So when you have action and you get knowledge, your ability to discern is enhanced and your ability to take action effectively is enhanced. So as the more knowledge, the more action, the two together take you out of a diminished condition into a more enhanced condition in existence. And what comes with that is this ability to let go of the error that created the original limitation, renunciation, shedding of the old ways of behavior, the old ways of knowing, or the limited ways of knowing based on your ignorance, and be able to come into existence more fully. That's what it's about. It's always about coming into existence more fully, but also more effectively, more capably. Not in the fear and the desperation and the need or the ambition and the power and all that bullshit that comes with the human egos compensating for their non-existence that they imagine they have. But in this free, self-existent empowerment, new area about how you are in relationships, a new discovery of how you create your partner, make your partner so miserable, or how you allow your partner to make you so miserable. You begin in this endless unfolding of what it means to be to be a person that's still in ignorance, that's still in this whole condition that we all inherited, and that which can come out of that condition. So there are all these dejections, moments of recognition. Oh shit, I'm doing this to myself again. And eventually we gather the strength to be able to create a relationship with existence that is actually moving into alignment with that natural cycle, where you begin to discover, to seek out what is still between you and a more full, true relationship with existence. Ultimately, a spiritual awakening is about what works. We begin to know how to be in existence more effectively, how to get things done more effectively with less stress, less worry, how to be in relationship with our partner, how to know what we can expect from others when we are still dependent on them for our enjoyment. And what happens for them when we no longer need them for our enjoyment, rather we bring our enjoyment to them. We discover how to come into existence more fully, where we can choose what's arising as being the means by which we can go into a more full and deep relationship with existence than the one we've been able to know up until now, rather than seek out different versions outside of ourselves, a new job, a new relationship, a new situation, a new car, a new purchase, a new technology, which we usually do. These things, as cravings, these wantings, these desirings, these structures, are all due to the condition of the bound unconscious awareness that doesn't know the worth of itself, doesn't recognize the extraordinary quality it carries as a human being. Nature bows to the human being. Beings live on other planes. They pay attention to human beings because they have all this power, all this authority they don't know they have. And unwittingly, we're giving it away to it. Unwittingly, we're making other things important. Unwittingly, we're diminishing ourselves by giving our energy away to others. We're the most powerful thing on the planet, each one of us. Even our magnetic fields could be measurably seen to be greater than other living creatures. I mean, if they measured my energy field right now, it'd be off the charts. It is as a matter of fact, I went to Massachusetts Institute of Technology and they measured my energy field and it was off the charts. The scientists that were on the other side in the glass room taking the measurements, I told them this is transmission. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, well, just watch. Go ahead. Watch my EGG or whatever they were trying. I had all these things stuck in my head. I said, I'm going to take your student. There was a professor and there was a student. I was going to start your student. And I said, okay, just pay attention to your heart. So I had 8 minutes. I got to do this process. And then I just transmitted. And when it was done, I asked, so what was that? And he said, oh my God, my heart expanded. I felt so much love. I felt this feeling. And then the professor said, hey, I want to do that. But I knew he was stuck in his head, so it wasn't going to work for him to pay attention to his heart. So I said, okay. And then what I did is I reached up and got the Sat force and just brought it down on him. When it was over, he said, oh my God, there was all this pressure on my head, on my shoulders. And it was like so uncomfortable. They went to my Sat songs there in Boston. So, but I'm sure it's one of those anomalies that they can't use in their studies. So that's where it lies. I'm an anomaly. May you all be anomalies. So that is what happens as we begin to discover this inherent power of being that we carry. This is like a power of being that we open up to as we shed these layers of limitation and error and self-condemnation and self-judgment. Now, when we get to, in the Bhagavad Gita, starting from the 6th chapter, we cross a threshold. When I awakened back in 1998, I crossed that threshold where I went out of what could be known as an individual, awakened individual in human existence, and I was introduced to domains of consciousness that are universal, or you could say collective. There was both universal and collective forces there, and I began to experience this huge love. A force of this opening up, it was outside of myself. It was in the outside domain, just like there's temperature and all these others. There are domains other than this domains that are just have the same ability to influence our subjective experiences. That we're in a vehicle when we enter into those domains. It's like the physical body, but it's a subtle body, and it's able to experience these domains. And then the energy fields of those domains would come to me when I'm in those energetic body, and that energetic body, and in my particular case, it also went into my physical body. So when I could feel the love of the divine beings that opened up for me in the universal place, I felt they were making love to me. It was that tangible. It was that physical. So for me, right off the bat, whenever I started awakening into these universal planes, it went right into the lowest frequency of the material nature that I carried in this human physical body. So I began to get introduced to domains of experiencing and knowing that open up. Now, when we're at that sixth plane where we've come to a place of greater effectiveness and truer relationship with existence, where there's actual enjoyment, there's a threshold where many awakened souls rest. They take a pause.